Done. Okay. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope all of you are healthy and doing well in your studies. And today we are again meeting after our weekend break. And today we are going to start a very interesting topic which is very central to our existence, right? What is that topic that I want to discuss with you today? Today I want to discuss with you. Just a moment, let me select the pen so that visibility will be good on your part. Role of women, role of women and women related issues and women organizations and women organizations. This is our topic for today, role of women and women related issues and how women organizations are playing its important role in creating in women empowerment in Indian society, right? First of all, I want to ask you why women plays an important part in our life. Why UPSC has given this particular subtopic categorically mentioned in your Indian society syllabus? Why? What is so important about women that it is so important that UPSC is asking us to prepare, understand, develop multi-dimensional approach on the issue related to women's, because tomorrow when you will be in the civil services, you are going to face lot of issues related to women. Therefore, it is important for you to understand the basic framework related to women issues, right? You see, if I ask you women, what picture comes to your mind? If I ask you women, what pictures comes to your mind? I hope you will think about your mother, somebody thinks about sister, mother, and so on. I would say women is known as the representative of God on this earth. Women is considered as a representative. Just a moment. Women is known as representative of God. She is known as representative of God, right? Now, why we are calling women a representative of God? Why? Why women is calling as she is the women is the person who represents God, because in this entire universe, the 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 responsibility of creation is vested with women. She is responsible for creation. And when you are talking about creation, there are only one two things who can play a part in creation. That is your God, and the next is women. Therefore, women is the cornerstone of any society. You see, there is a saying, if you want to understand any society, whether it is developed, underdeveloped, or a backward society, just look at the women's. Just look at the position of women in that society. Look at the position of women in that society. By looking at the position of women in that society, you can easily make it out whether it is an advanced society, developed society, or it is an underdeveloped society, backward society, conservative society. More when in the society in which more autonomy, society in which more autonomy is given to women, that society becomes progressive, right? And as you know, I am coming from a place called Delhi. By if you look at the place Delhi, you think Delhi is the capital of India. Oh, sir, you are very privileged that you are living in the capital of India. I would say no. if you go deeper inside the society of Delhi, you will come to know we all are very patriarchal in our mindsets. Sorry, we are very patriarchal in our mindsets. And what is the first thing patriarchy do? Patri the first thing that does is to suppress the women, right? I want to ask you one thing, all my students who are watching me. Have you ever seen a man in your life who says, I forget how to eat, yeah? That tomorrow when you will wake up in the morning, you will ask you will, when you wake up in the morning on your bed and you will say, how to eat food? I don't know how to eat food. Have you seen any man who said that I forget how to walk? Have you seen any human being on this planet who says, I forget how to talk? I don't know how to talk. Have you seen? Because you will never see a man like this in your entire lifespan. Because all these things are not taught by our teacher, they are taught by your mother. And whatever that mother teaches you, it becomes embedded in your mind. You will never forget it. It is our mother who tells us that this man, dekho beta, papa hai, dekho papa aa gaye. This is our mother who introduces us to that man, that he is our father. If today our mother says that he is not your father, then the kahani of your father is over. Do you understand this? This is your mother who teaches you how to eat, who teaches you how to speak, who teaches you how to walk when you are in your learning, when you are in your infant stage. You remember how mothers used to talk to the little kids who are infant babies, beta, dekho, dekho, dadi aa gayi, beta, dekho. She is the one who is introducing us to this world. She is the one who is introducing us to this world. She is the one who is teaching us the relation. She is the one who is making us a human being. She is the one who is responsible for our socialization. She is the one who creates the idea of life in our mind. Do you agree with me? Therefore, women is not just confined to mother role, as a sister, as a friend, as a wife, as a girlfriend, whatever relationship you see, women plays a very important aspect in our life. Do you agree with me? Right? Therefore, it becomes important for us to understand the role of women in society. What are the issues that women are facing in our society? How women organizations have created a concept of empowerment among women in a country like India. What is their role? Therefore, today's class is the class in which we will unfold the story of from Sati to become a fighter pilot in Indian Air Force. Therefore, today this issue is going to deal the journey of women in India, the journey of women in India from Sati to becoming a fighter pilot, to becoming a fighter pilot. This journey we will decode in this lecture, becoming how women has traveled a journey from Sati to becoming a fighter pilot in India. That too in a combat role. The role which was earlier reserved only for the males, but today the girls of our country breaking those gender hierarchies, breaking those gender walls. Now National Defence Academy situated in Khadagwasla has opened doors for the girls. Today, girls are becoming fighter pilot in combat role in Indian Air Force. Recently, one of the very young ladies has taken the position of commanding officer of infantry regiment at the border, at Indo-China border. Today we are witnessing, today we can say that, I'm coming to your question. I'll come to your question, Vishwajit. Today you see all the development that has taken place around you is directly or indirectly women has a role in it, right? Now one of the student is asking me a question, sir, this man who leaves her parents in old age home is taught by his mother. How we can say, Bishjeet, you need to understand in this world there is Duryodhan also and Krishna also. Choice is yours where you want to focus. You see, mother can never teach wrong thing to a child. This is my personal belief. And when these kinds of aberrations happens in society, there are lot of other pull and push factors, lot of other factors which are at play in this. In India, if you compare India with other societies across the world, you can realize it that still in India we are having a functional role of family in our lives. When these kind of incident happen, there are a lot of factors involved into it. We will come to it one by one. Okay? Done, Vishjeet? Right. Now let us understand why women's and what is the status of women, right? Okay. Write it down few lines. In India, 48.20 percentage, 48.20 percentage constitutes females. In India, 48.20 percentage constitutes of women's, right? Therefore, they are 50% of India's population, you can say roughly. They are equal to 50% population of India. 50% population of India. You see, I still remember when I was doing engineering, there were hardly any girls in engineering colleges, especially in branches such as electrical, mechanical. You won't find girls, but today you can see a good number of girls cracking JEE examination, cracking JEE advanced, and getting into engineering colleges in good in all the disciplines of engineering. Their proportion is increasing, right? Therefore, we need to understand the journey of women in India, right? Now, let us start from the very how the journey of women has traveled in India. Is that clear to you? May I rub this? Okay. Let us start the evolution and understanding the evolution of women's status from Rig Vedic period. Let us understand what is the condition of women in Rig Vedic period. You see, during Rig Vedic period, women enjoyed a high status. Women enjoyed high status. Women enjoyed high status during Rig Vedic times, right? They were allowed for pursuing intellectual goals. They were allowed to pursue intellectual goals, right? Spiritual standards. They have established good number of spiritual standards, right? That was the condition of women during India's Rig Vedic time period. They were having freedom in selecting their life partner. their life partner. They were having freedom in selecting their life partner. Widows were widows can remarry. Widows can remarry, right? Therefore, therefore, women enjoyed a mobility in society, I can say that. They were providing complete freedom in family matters. They were providing complete freedom in family matters. Therefore, if you see the status of women in Rig Vedic period times, you can see that women enjoyed a high status. How you can say women were having high status? Because they have access to education. A woman can select a husband of her choice. She can pursue intellectual goals. She can go for spiritual attainment. Therefore, all these things implies that women was having a high status in Rigvedic time periods. Now let us come to later Vedic periods here. Now let us come to later Vedic period. Now during later Vedic period, women started being discriminated. Women started being discriminated. This is the starting of subjugation of women. This is the starting of subjugation of women. Here, the suppression of women starts during the later Vedic period. Right? And here, the concepts such as child marriage, write it down, concepts such as child marriage, widow burning, parda, right? All these things, or you can say polygamy started appearing, polygamy. All these things has worsened the condition of women, worsened the condition of women, right? Now if you see the women in Buddhist period, let us come to the status of women in Buddhist period. You see, in the Buddhist period, the status of women improved a little. Status of women, improved little, right? During the during the Buddhist period. During the Buddhist period, the status of women improved little bit better, right? Yes, because the conditions imposed by caste system on the women, relaxed during the Buddhist period. During the Buddhist period, especially during the regime of Chandragupta Maurya, I am writing in short form Chandragupta Maurya, during the time of Ashoka, right? During this period, women regained their freedom. Women regained their freedom. Regained their women regained their freedom, right? Therefore, now let us understand the status of women during medieval period. Status of women in medieval period. During medieval period, what was the status of women? Write it down. You see, during medieval period, what happened? When invaders conquered India and settled here, they also brought their culture. Am I right or wrong? They also brought their culture with them. Their culture with them, right? And you see here, in, and here a very important concept evolved, that this invaders culture, they treat women as a sole property of her father, sole property of her father, brother, husband, right? It implies she does not have any say in her life. All the decisions about her life will be taken by her husband, by her brother, or by her father. This kind of thinking, that women, you can say they're treating women as a commodity. This thinking has emerged during the medieval time period, right? During the medieval time period. Therefore, but you are seeing, this is the problem during the medieval period, right? I think you have noted down. Clear? Done? Done? May I rub this? Please tell me, have you taken it? Have you noted down? Then I'll move forward. Please give me a reply. Please note it down. I'm coming to a side so that you can have a perfect view of the board. Done. Now let us move to condition of women's during women. Wait a minute. Now let us write it down. Status of women during East India Company. East India Company. It means when Britishers started coming to India. Write it down. Here, you can witness that during East India Company rule or British rule, you can say that during this period you are witnessing reformers such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right? Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, right? Jyotiba Phule, right? M.G. Ranade. All these reformers are coming on the screen during the British time, and there's a one gentleman whose name was P.C. Sarkar, that is Puran Chand Sarkar. Puran Chand Sarkar, who started school, write it down, who started a school in Calcutta, that is girls' school, started girls' school in Calcutta in the year 1874. Sorry, 1847. Sorry, it's 1847. Puran Chand Sarkar, who started a girls' school in 1847 at Calcutta. And during this period, Raja Rahman Roy has created an awareness about sati system, and his efforts resulted in the abolishment of sati, right? In the abolishment of sati, right? Therefore, we can see that from here the status of women started improving, and finally when Gandhi came on the stage, when Gandhiji came on the stage. But before writing this, I want to ask you, what is the biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi in India's freedom struggle? Can you tell me in one line the biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi, which no leader in this country is capable enough to do that? Tell me quickly. Let me see how many of me reply and answer. Let me see यार ये क्या हो जाता है टैब के अंदर. Yes. Tell me, why Mahatma Gandhi is considered as the tallest leader in India's freedom struggle? Why? I'm waiting for your answer. Quickly reply me. Because we are discussing the status of women during East India Company rule, during British India, right? Let me see who is the first boy or girl who will come forward and give me the right answer. I'm waiting for you. Preetham is saying that engaging Indian women in freedom struggle. Okay, Preetham. Nimai is saying united women in movement. Okay. Can we say this? Women has no right about her life in medieval period, but this is not the starting, because in later Vedic conditions women declined. So invaders culture is not the main reason for degradation of women and status. Spandan, I will come to your query. Incorporating women in freedom struggle. Vidisha, Anirban gave freedom movement a nationwide stage rather than some regional reward. Wonderful, wonderful, Anirban, wonderful. Encouraging others for making mass movement without discrimination. Okay, that's good, Spandan. Truth and non-violent satyagrah, Vishwajit. Okay, that's lovely. You see, you need to understand this phenomena in a larger perspective. Let us first talk about, let me take you to history class, okay? You see, when Britishers first time came to India, give me the date quickly. When Britishers came to India, tell me quickly. When Britishers came to India, you see, Britishers came to India. तुम्हें थोड़ी हिस्ट्री पढ़ाते हैं. Britishers came to India in 1600, yeah, right? And you are saying from 1600 to 1757, nothing much happened in India. And the first battle of Plassey took place in 1757. And from 1757 to 1857 is total 100 years. Indians were not even aware of this fact that we were ruled by Britishers. हमें पता ही नहीं था कि हम पे अंग्रेज हम पे हुकूमत कर रहे हैं. Do you know that? And then from 1857 to another, you can say, till 1920, it took us another 50-60 years to tell people that Britishers are ruling us. And it was Gandhi, Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who was able to convey the idea of Azadi. Because at that time people used to ask, why we need Azadi? Everything is fine. He was the man who percolated the idea of Azadi in the minds of the masses. Therefore, the biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi, that he galvanized the Indian freedom struggle. It was Gandhi who brought the women of Indian society, who were confined to the four walls of their home. They were confined to the chula chauka. That women have come out of the houses. They started demonstrations on the road, and women played a very important role in the freedom movement, and the courtesy goes to Mahatma Gandhi, and that is the reason I have discussed this issue with you. Therefore, Mahatma Gandhi, you will one more incident I'll share with you, because you see, history is multi-dimensional in character, right? You should study history as history. You should not attach your feelings, emotions, religion with history. Treat it as a subject, okay? Sorry. Okay. You see, we are discussing how the role of women is changing. You see, during the British time period, people like Jyotiba Phule, he did a remarkable work in the education of girls in Maharashtra, right? Dakkan, you can call it a Dakkan, right? Let me give you one more example. We consider that Bal Gangadhar Tilak, right? Bal Gangadhar Tilak, a great freedom fighter. You see, when Britishers wants to bring the bill to raise the marriageable age of the girl, who was the man who opposed that bill? Anyone? You all are studying history also, and I think your history is over, right, students? So you should know it. Who was the man who opposed the bill proposed by the British government to raise the age of Indian girls for the marriage? It was Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who ferociously opposed this bill, and he told that this is a bill which is interfering in the personal lives of Indians. And Bal Gangadhar Tilak himself married his 10-year-old daughter. This is the irony of India. This is the irony of India, right? Therefore, you are seeing Puran Chand Sarkar started a girls' school in the 1847 in Calcutta, right? And you are witnessing that abolition of sati system took place here in this time period during the British rule. Lot of school colleges were opened for the women's. Women started participating in public life, right? You have so many examples of Indian freedom strugglers, Sarojini Naidu, Aruna Asaf Ali, and so on, right? Now let us come, after discussing this much, let us come to independent India. Let us come to independent India. May I rub this? Let us come to independent. You see, the first thing that happened in independent India Our constitution created a gender equality. Our constitutions creating a gender equality. The first innovative thing, citizenship right is given to everyone, irrespective of the gender, whether you are a girl or boy, male, female, whoever you are, everybody is given the citizenship. There is political equality. There is political. Now I'm teaching you polity. Political. One man, one vote. It There is a political equality in the gender also. It is not like that if you are a man you have the right to cast two votes, and you are a woman you have the right to cast one vote. It's not like that. If a one vote is cast by one man, one vote will also be cast by one woman, right? Therefore, you see, you are saying Constitution of India wants to create gender equality. Constitution of India wants to create equality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity. Right? Equality of opportunity. Right? These are the initiatives by the Constitution of India. The first confrontation after independent India is the Hindu Code Bill. Is the Hindu Code Bill proposed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Proposed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. You see, what was the bone of contention under Hindu Code Bill? What was the bone of contention? Anyone? Because you see, what is it? Let me first take you to again. Today we will be flowing, as I often say, we need fluidity. UPSC is nothing but a fluidity in its character. You have to develop interlinkages between different subjects. If I ask you, what is the difference between Gandhi's and Ambedkar's approach towards caste system? The reply will be Gandhi was looking this problem for a moral perspective. Ambedkar was looking this problem as a political, economic and social problem. Therefore, according to Ambedkar, the solution should also be political, economical and social. It is not a moral problem according to Ambedkar. The same thing in the Hindu Code Bill. Ambedkar wants to restructure the Indian society. He wants to restructure the Hindu society. He wants to create Hindu society on the basic premise of equality. Therefore, he proposed Hindu Code Bill, and he categorically mentions in that, and that particular point becomes a bone of contention between Jawaharlal Nehru and Ambedkar, which ultimately led Ambedkar to resign from the first cabinet. And what was the point? The point says that girl should have equal right in her father's property. That girl should have equal right, should have equal right in her father's property. In her father's property. This point became a problem because Nehru said that Indian society is not ready for this kind of you can say revolution, because these words are nothing but revolution. It will create an uproar in the society. You need to wait and watch. But Ambedkar was in hurry. Ambedkar said, no, we want to bring this restructuring of Hindu society right now. And that create a problem. And on this particular point, Ambedkar resigned from the cabinet. And what we bunch of jokers are doing? We bunch of jokers are categorizing Ambedkar as a Dalit leader. Because our understanding of history is very myopic. We don't understand, we don't read history in a larger perspective. Apart from this, as I've already stated to you in my previous lectures, that our mentality is the product of our surroundings. Our socialization is the product of our surroundings. The kind of family exposure, school exposure, your friends, they determine kind of mentality you're going to have. And here comes the role of education. Education creates a penetration in your mindset. And it is the role of faculty to create bombardment of ideas in your mind so that your mind will explore, the horizon of your mind will explore, right? This is the job of a faculty. And that is the reason I'm telling you that you need to study history from history point of view, not from your personal biases, not from some religious biasness. Okay. And at this particular point, Ambedkar resigned from the cabinet. He said, please, you keep your law ministry with you. I am more happy to come out of the cabinet. I will work according to my whims and fancies. And after resignation, he opened a People's Education Society, he opened Aurangabad College, Siddharth College, and so on. That was the first point of bone of contention after independence, that is on Hindu Code Bill, right? And then you see, now independence has opened the gates of education, opened the gates of education to women. Education to women's, right? Right. So that they can participate, so that they can participate in every domain of public life, in every domain, such as politics, education, administration, etc. Okay, I want to ask you one question, students, without taking the help of Google Baba or any Baba, online Baba at your disposal, because we are in the online mode of education. I'm not aware what you are having, but I request you, do not do access to any of the online system. Please tell me who was the first women IAS officer in India. Who was the first women IAS officer in India? And she is from which batch? Tell me quickly. Who is the first women IAS officer in India and she is from which batch? Let me see, because you all of you, when I asked you in my first class what you want to become, you said you all of you are aspiring to become IAS officer. Therefore, you should know who that lady was. Without taking much time, I'm waiting for your answer, gentlemen, and all the girls who are watching this quickly. Till then, let me have a glass of water. Let me see who will give me the first answer and the correct answer. Wonderful question. Beshfajit has asked a wonderful question. Sir, in Bengal and Maharashtra, there were rise in the rebellion movement. Braja is saying, Braja, you are from which place? Anna Raja Malhotra, absolutely right. Braja is saying the right answer. Okay, let me write it down here. The first woman IAS officer was Anna Rajan Malhotra. She is from the 1951 batch of IAS and she married to her batchmate Mr. R.N. Malhotra. She married to her batchmate whose name was R.N. Malhotra, right? And you know, when she appeared in UPSC interview, what kind of situation she has to face? Let me give an idea. She is the first women IS officer. Her name was Anna Raja Malhotra, right? What I've written? Yeah, this is M, this is not N, this is Anna Rajam Malhotra, and she married to her batchmate Mr. R.N. Malhotra. And when she appeared in interview in the UPSC, located in Delhi, the place called Dhulpur House, the board, the interview board pressurized her that Miss Anna, you should not opt for IAS. It is better you opt for some other services. But IAS is a service which requires lot of diplomacy, which requires lot of patience, courage, because you are being posted in the remote districts of your state where you need to work in the capacity of SDM, ADM, DM. You are dealing with n number of people. Some are literate, some are illiterate, some are gunda elements, some are very educated, right? You have to face the situation of communal riots. Therefore, it is a tough job. And as a woman, you are not capable to perform the functions required by an IAS. She was, this is on record. I am saying all these things on record also. You can cross check it. In her own interview, she said that. And the interview tried their level best to persuade her not to opt for IAS. But she was hell-bent. She said, no, I want to be an IAS officer. Then board said, okay, fine. You can opt for IAS, but one condition. After becoming an IAS, you are not supposed to marry. Can you imagine a time in which a girl was, if she wants to be an IAS, the condition she cannot marry if she becomes an IAS officer. That was the situation 1951, IAS officer. And today you see UPSC saying, where are the girls? Where are the girls? And today 1, 2, 3 rank are coming from the girls. Tina Dabi topped in 2016, right? Who studied in KSG only, right? Isha Kishore, they all studied here. Ishita Kishore, sorry. Therefore, that was the time. And later on, she married her batchmate R.N. Malhotra. That is her story. Therefore, write it down. Because our Constitution of India provides equality. How equality? Your Article 14. Article 14 talks about equality, right? No discrimination by the state. No discrimination by the state. Who talks about this? Article 51A. No discrimination by the state. Then equality of opportunity. Which article talks about equality of opportunity? Article 16. Equality of opportunity. Then equal pay for equal work. This is very important. Equal pay for equal work. Which article? Article 39. Write it down. Equal pay for equal work is given in Article 39. Which one? Clause D. You need to mention this in your answer. It will give you a kind of, topping on the cake, right? Therefore, then you can say there are certain provisions which are made in favor of women, such as Article 15, Clause 3. Article 15, where should I write? I write it down here. Article 15, Clause 3. The articles which are made in the favor of women's, right? And then article, you need to denounce the derogatory practices related to women's. Article 51A. Article 51A, E part. Article 51A, E part, in which you need to denounce the derogatory practices related to women, right? Then you also need to, then in our constitution, it is clearly stated we need to provide, maternity relief to the women's, right? So these are the constitutional provisions for the betterment of Indian women. And here also the man who fought for the maternity benefits be given to the women is none other than Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Therefore, from now onward, you should not call that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was only a Dalit leader. That is one facet of his personality. He is a leader for every Indian who is an Indian by heart and soul. Okay? Done? Okay. And then the first women IPS officer was Mrs. Kiran Bedi from the 1972 batch. The first women IPS officer of 1972 batch was Kiran Bedi. Now let us come to the modern India. Can I rub this? All of you have taken down. Can I rub this? Okay, now come to the modern India. Modern India reflects a paradox. Modern India reflects a paradox. If I talk about the status of women in modern India, one word summarizes it, that is a paradox. The position of women are diametrically opposite. On one side, you are witnessing a girl, and the girl who became the first fighter pilot, I know her from personally I know her, and she studied from India's best school. Her father was an IS officer. She is the daughter of Air Vice Marshal, and then she was an engineering graduate from Delhi College of Engineering, and then she opted for Indian Air Force, and now she's a fighter pilot. On one side, we are saying this is the condition. On other side, we are saying that in India in 1989, you remember 1989 Roop Kumar incident. Roop Kumar incident of Sati happened in Rajasthan. Happened in Rajasthan in 1989. You see the situation of section 498A, bride burning, dowry, all these things, domestic violence, right? We have seen acid victims. We have seen acid victims. We have seen the very pathetic case of Nirbhaya in Delhi. Nirbhaya case in Delhi. Right? We are seeing a situation of Pinjara Tod campaign started by the college girls in Delhi University. Pinjara Tod campaign started by Delhi University girls. Therefore, this situation reflects a kind of paradox in the Indian society. Indian women's status of women is highly a paradox in modern India. On one side, we are saying that girls are taking part in the mainstream professionals. Just 2 days back, there was a news in Indian Express that a girl just adjoining Gurgaon, Delhi, which is very near to Delhi, the national capital of India, and the girl married a boy outside her caste, and her parents, including her brother, they killed her because she exercised her choice of selecting a male partner, and she was killed. She was murdered by her own parents. Don't you think this is a paradox of Indian society? What kind of society is this? Here, Constitution of India is giving you the right to choose the government, and on the other side, in our families, we are not giving that right to a girl to choose her life partner. And if she exercises this choice of choosing the life partner, she is being murdered by her own parents. And that was in the news in the last day before yesterday's newspaper. It was a big news in Gurgaon. What is this? We have witnessed the cases of honor killing, especially in Haryana, Rajasthan, Western UP. Honor killing. If you are marrying outside the caste or you are marrying within the caste, And the so-called society is justifying this act. Society is justifying this act. Therefore, we say the status of women in modern India is highly paradox to us. On the one hand, she is at the peak of the ladder of success. On the other hand, she is mutely suffering from the violence inflicted on her by her own family members. This is the paradox that a modern India is witnessing for the women's. Therefore, but yes, the position and status of women has changed considerably during the last 3 or 4 decades. I've already given you the idea of constitutional safeguards. Now let us discuss the issues faced by the women. Okay, let us discuss the issues faced by the women. I think this point is clear to all of you. I have discussed with you the how the evolution of women role has taken place in Indian society. Is that clear? All of you? May I move on? Please give me a reply. I am not getting response. Quickly reply me. Otherwise, I will be stuck. Clear? Can we move on? All the boys and the girls, are you there? Attending the class or simply sleeping? If you are not sleeping, please tell me. I am not getting reply from you. I don't know what is happening. There are so many students. Yes, now I got your reply here. Okay. Now let us understand the issues faced by violence, faced by women. Issues faced by women. Issues faced by women. The first issue is the violence. The first issue is violence. Hinsa. Write it down. According to WHO report, one in every 3 women and girl experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. According to a WHO report, 1 in every 3 women and girl experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime, most frequently by their intimate partner. According to NCRB data, in India, the cruelty by husband or his relatives, his relatives accounted for the highest number of cases recorded in the crime against women category. Therefore, the safety and security of women have been accorded top priority by the government of India, and several steps are taken in achieving this initiative. Right? Now, how to deal with this violence? We have the Indian Penal Code, right? So what Indian Penal Code says? Indian Penal Code has many stringent provisions. Indian Penal Code has very stringent provision to deal with to deal with the women, to deal with crimes related to women. Crimes related to women. What they are, write it down. Especially after the Nirbhaya case, amendments were made in the code in 2013 on the recommendation of Justice Verma Committee. This is very important point, that after Nirbhaya case, why this is after Nirbhaya case, write it down. After Nirbhaya case, amendments were made in the code. Amendments were made in the code. Write it down. Amendments were made in the code in 2013 on the recommendation of, this may be asked in the PT also, on the recommendation of Justice Verma Committee report. Underline this. Justice Verma Committee report. Underline this point. This fact can also be asked in the prelims. Right? Then you have POSH Act. You have POSH Act. P-O-S-H. POSH Act. Write 2 lines on POSH Act. The sexual harassment of women at workplace. It deals with sexual harassment of women. Sexual harassment of women at workplace. Sexual harassment of women at workplace is taken care by POSH Act, which is Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. It is called Prevention. Underline this. Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. It was enacted in which year? It was enacted in 2013. It was enacted in 2013. It provides a safe and enabling free from sexual harassment to every woman at the workplace. Apart from this, there is POXCO also. POXO. P-O-C-S-O. POXO. POXO implies, write it down, protection of children from sexual offences. Protection of children. Protection of children from sexual offences. From sexual offences, right? And very important point that you need to note that, no, please write down note. POXCO is the first gender neutral act. POXCO is the first gender neutral act. Very important. Underline this. This is one of the first laws which is gender neutral. Please underline this. This is the first what has happened to the yes, right. This is the first law which is gender neutral, right? Now, what needs to be done? Write it down. Now, what needs to be done? Number one, we require gender sensitization. We require gender sensitization. What needs to be done there? We need to do gender sensitization. Write it down. It is about Gender equality and women's right, gender equality and women's rights should be instilled in boys and girls from a very early age in order to bring about a change in the mindset of the future generation. Therefore, gender sensitized, you need to develop the idea of gender equality and the rights about girls from the early stage, right? Okay, Bishjit is asking a question. Sir, girls also use the facility illegal way. They wrongly change domestic violence, wrongly and earn money. Okay, Bishwajit is concerned about the wrong or you can say misuse of the section 498A and the Domestic Violence Act. This is absolutely right, Bishwajit. I do concur with your point of view that the intention for making these laws to provide justice to the aggrieved party, but unfortunately people are starting using these two draconian laws to harass the in-laws and harass the boy's family. Therefore, court recently in their judgments have categorically observed this point and they have brought very good initiative. For example, under section 498 will not be apply until and unless it is given approval from the district police chief, who in his personal capacity will look into the case and see whether there is a merit of imposing section 498 or not. And in the domestic violence also, the police will first investigate, ascertain whether the charges are true or false or they are malified in intention. Therefore, you simply cannot make a statement and say this person has threatened me with dire consequences. Therefore, you put him inside the jail under section 498. No, there should be a proper procedure needs to be followed before imposing such kind of difficult and dangerous laws. Is it clear, Bishjit? Now, when I'm talking about gender sensitization, under gender sensitization, the most important thing that needs to be done from the young age, especially for the boys of the young age, they should be given exposure to the concept of gender equality and the rights of the women, so that when they will grow up, they can bring qualitative change in their mindset about women's, right? The next thing that needs to take place is in our history. Okay, Spandan is asking, Spandan, the question that you have asked me about the public schools and the private schools, why private school education is becoming expensive, and then in the government school, if you are sending your children to government school, the fees is very less, but the quality of education is dismal, abysmally very bad. I think I need to answer this question from the economic perspective rather than the society issue. Okay, but I'll answer you. Don't worry. We'll discuss this. Therefore, in our homes also, we need to inculcate this atmosphere that a women should be respected in our family. Because if we are not giving respect to our women's, what the young children who is copying our behavior, who is looking at us, how we are talking to our mother, how we are talking to our grandmother, how we are dealing with our maid, how we are dealing with our fellow beings who are working for us, and that young toddlers are observing our behavior and imitating us, that behavior in their self. Therefore, it is of very importance that we need to bring a qualitative change in our relationship with our subordinates, with our women servants, and so on, so that it will create a kind of respect among each other, right? And one thing more that I needs to mention here is stop stigmatization. Stop stigmatization. Third point. What do you mean by stop stigmatization? Here you need to understand one thing, that the stigma attached to the victim of violence should be removed by considering concretizing the community through outreach programs. In India, we have a different kind of structure. A girl on whose acid is thrown, people are finding fault in her character. I have seen people, because I was in Delhi in 2013 when this particular incident happened in Delhi. There was hue and cry, and there are certain section of people in society who were questioning the integrity of the girl. They were asking, अच्छा वो लड़की क्या कर रही थी रात को 11 बजे मुनीरी का बस स्टॉप पे? अच्छा, उस लड़की के साथ कौन लड़का था? क्या उसकी माँ को नहीं पता था? वो लड़की ऐसे कपड़े पहन के गई थी, कौन सी ड्रेस पहनी थी? Therefore, it is highly ridiculous. We need to bring qualitative change in our society. We need to bring, and this should start from ourselves, because you are the part of society. We should stop, first of all, who we are. Are we Khalifa? Who we are? It is the prerogative of a girl what she likes to wear or what she don't like to wear. She has to decide this thing. Who we are to judge? And having a boyfriend, that can be a subjective answer to this, but as a faculty, I can say it is the prerogative of a girl whether she wants to have a boyfriend or not. Let her decide. We are no one to place our values on her head. Crime is a crime. A person who is committing crime, that person needs to be punished, not that victim on whom crime took place. And in our society, we are living in some different world. Therefore, we need to stop this stigmatization, right? The stigma attached to the victim of violence should be removed by concretizing the community through outreach programs. Apart from this, legal literacy. We need to work on legal literacy. We need to create boot camps in the school, colleges, creating awareness among the girls, among the women, what kind of rights our Constitution of India gives them, what kind of safeguards under Indian Penal Code are provided for them, what are their rules, what are their rights. Therefore, we need to conduct boot camps inside our school, colleges and offices so that women are aware of their rights, and if anyone tries to break that Lakshman Rekha, they can initiate action, and it will create legal literacy among Indian women. Apart from this, there should be a proper counseling. There should be a proper counseling should take place. Proper counseling should take place where the women should be a magistrate, women should be a judge, the advocate should be a judge, and whenever government should ensure proper enforcement of the laws, and the police force needs to be trained and sensitized towards the women who are in distress. That is the most important thing actually, because the first point of contact, please underline this word, the first point of contact is the police, where the girls goes and reports and where she files the FIR. Therefore, the first point of contact, the person sitting there in the police station, needs to be taught what is the concept of gender sensitization. That policeman should be soft corner for that victim, which is not the case in reality. And how we can achieve all these objectives? We need to take the help of media. Media should be used to sensitize the officials and the public about violence against women, right? So that it will strengthen the research capacity to assess interventions to address partners' violence, right? Clear? Is all these points are clear? All these points are clear. All of you have noted these points. Then let us understand the movement for women's welfare and security. Let us understand women's movement for her welfare, and security. Right? Now, if you look at the sequence of women's movement in India, you can say that feminism, what I have written, feminist or feminism, the feminist movement in India gained momentum during the late 1970s. And the first issue on which the entire women's of India came together is the Mathura rape case. It's the Mathura rape case. What was so peculiar about Mathura rape case that it is considered as the first national issue that brought lot of women's groups together, because in Mathura rape case the police personnel were involved in doing a gang rape of a girl. Or this is recently the Supreme Court has given a directive that we should not use a word rape, we need to use a word sexual assault. So I will not using this word for your knowledge. I am telling you sexual assault. So therefore, Mathura rape case was the first case during the late 70s, in which the policemen were involved in doing a sexual assault, right, on a woman, and this issue took a national, it became a national issue on which hundreds of women's organizations came together against the acquittal of policemen in this case, against the acquittal of policemen in this case. That is your Mathura case, Mathura rape case. Therefore, based on the protest on this Mathura rape case, the government of India amend the Evidence Act and Criminal Procedure Code and the Indian Penal Code. The protest by the women's movement, the protest by women's organization led to the changes, number one, in the Evidence Act, number two, Indian Penal Code Act, number third, Criminal Procedure Code. Therefore, government brought qualitative change in the Indian Penal Code, CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Penal Code, and they created a new offence. And here a new offence was mentioned. It mentioned a new offence which is called custodian rape. Underline this concept, custodian rape, right? It is known as custodian rape, right? And now there are a lot of issues related to women, such as, write it down, female infanticide, gender bias, on the health related issues of the women's, on the health related issues of the women's safety, right? On the women's literacy. These are the issues on which various women organizations are coming together. Another problem that is associated with violence against women in India is alcoholism. Alcoholism is the problem which creates violence against women, right? Therefore, many women groups has launched the anti-liquor campaigns. Many women groups has launched anti-liquor anti-liquor campaigns. Many women organizations has launched anti-women campaigns, especially in the states such as Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and other states. And recently we have seen that many women's have started questioning the fundamental leaders' interpretation of women's rights. Please underline this. This is the new thing that I am connecting with your class note. That is the latest thing, that many Indian Muslim women have questioned the fundamental leaders' interpretation of women's rights under the Shariat law and have criticized the triple talaq system. There is a one more organization that I want to bring into our discussion, that is SEWA. कौन सी organization है? SEWA. 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 SEWA means Self-Employed Women's Association. You can write it down. SEWA. May I rub this? What is the full form of SEWA? Self-Employed Women's Association. Self-Employed Women Association. That is the full form of SEWA. It played a very major role in the advancement of women's right. SEWA in the advancement of women's right. Okay. There is another called Narmada Bachao Andolan. Narmada Bachao Andolan. It was started by Medha Patkar. It was started by Medha Patkar. And one thing more, you need to write it down, that National Policy for the Empowerment of Women. National Policy for the Empowerment of Women was launched in the year 2001. Right. Done. Written. Under this policy, various programs were launched for the betterment and empowerment of women. Now come to the, I'm now coming to the another part, that is violence against women. You see, violence against women, there are the following types. Number one, if you look at the forms of violence, the first is domestic violence. It is, I can call it as a forms of violence. The first is domestic violence. And if you look at the another is killing. In killing, female infanticide will take place. Female infanticide, right? And then you have dowry deaths, honor killing, just I discussed with you, honor killings. Then in your, I think you are all are from Calcutta, you would have seen it. This practice is very, this practice is still practiced in some remote areas of West Bengal. That women are regarded as a witchcraft, and later on, community passes a violence against them, witchcraft accusations and related murders. Apart from this, you can say sexual abuse, molestation, sexual assault, right? Therefore, these all are the forms of violence against women's. Now, if I am talking about the latest one, the marital crimes. May I change this? May I rub this, all of you? Done? May I rub this? Now, let us discuss about marital crimes. In marital crimes, the first thing that is in the news, that is your marital rape. Right? Marital rape implies, if you look at the statistics in India, marital rape is not a crime. Marital rape is not a crime. In India, marital rape is not a crime, right? Now you see, times are changing. India is among those 50 countries which does not have a law on marital rape. You see, you need to understand that a woman is your partner. Your wife is not subordinate to you. Your duty is not to suppress her. She is also having her individual personality, her distinctive personality. She is playing the role of partner in your life. She's a life partner. She's a better half, right? Therefore, and always remember the words of Vatsyayana, right? Because India is the only country which has a god of sex also, that is Kamdev. India is the only country where a specific book dedicated to the study of sex, that is Kama Sutra. India is the only country where you can have the Khajuraho, the temples dedicated to different postures of sexual intercourse. You can go to Ajanta and Ellora. Therefore, our idea of sex is not a myopic vision. And here is a one man that India has given birth to, the great Rajneesh Osho, who talks about from sex to super consciousness. You need to understand, if you study Indian culture, and I hope that your faculty would have done this discussion in Tantra, there is a concept of tantric sex also. Sex is not a taboo in Indian society. There is an element of equality. Therefore, sex is basically a game in which both male and female should participate at equal level. But unfortunately, these things are not happening at the ground. What we are doing, we are treating women as a commodity. We are thinking, as a wife, it is my right, I can do anything with her. I can beat her, I can sexually assault her, I can abuse her, I can treat her the way I like. That is not the thing. And today I am really blessed. Today I feel very good that there are women who are saying no means no. And that is the reason movies such as Thappad, Pink is coming up in our society. Movies such as Shubh Mangal Savdhan, which talks about erectile dysfunction. Movies like Padman, which talks about sanitary pets. Movies related to Thappad, in which a girl protests, in which a married girl protests that you don't have any right to slap me. Therefore, we need to bring a qualitative change in our thought process, because only when our thought changes, our actions will also change. If you want to bring change in the actions, you have to bring the change in the thought process, and that thing needs to be starts from our families. We need to treat women in a dignified manner, right? Therefore, marital rape, right? Then there is the concept of forced marriage in India. Forced marriage, right? Right? So these are the marital crimes. Now, let us discuss the reasons for rise in crime against women in India. Reasons for rising crime against women in India. What are the reasons? Number one, write it down. Gender roles and relations. Gender roles and relations. Gender roles and relations. You see, our society is a kind of patriarchal society in which there is a kind of mutual agreement with man on the issues of sexist, patriarchal and sexually hostile attitudes. Therefore, there is a prevalence of violence, supportive social norms related to gender and sexuality. We are witnessing male-dominated power relations and relationships in families, sexist and violent supportive context and cultures. Apart from this, we are having social norms. Write it down here. We are having social norms and practices. Norms and practices which validates, this is E, sorry, which validates violence against women, which validates violence against women. For example, if you against women, for example, if you come to the villages in Haryana, there is a saying, अरे भाई तो अरे बीवी को पीटेगा नहीं तो कंट्रोल में नहीं रहेगी तेरे. You have, it is necessary to beat your wife. If you don't beat your wife, she will go out of the control of your hand. This kind of mentality is prevailing in the villages here, right? Then access to resources. Third is access to resources. Access to resources and systems of support is very less for the women, and systems of support access to resources and system of support like your access to the police, access to the law, access to the law, courts, district courts, all these things are not taking place the way it needs to be done. Apart from this, there is no fear of law among the culprits, right? We have various sexual harassment laws at workplace. For example, Vishaka guidelines are in place. Vishaka guidelines in place. But in spite of that, sexual exploitation used to take place at the workstations in India, right? Apart from this, there is a lack of accountability and conviction, lack of accountability of the law and order institutions, and lack of conviction of culprit lead to increase in crime against women, right? Apart from there is an element of patriarchy. Despite the increased education levels and various government efforts like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, women's status has not improved much in India, to be very honest, right? Still, people are not shedding their patriarchal mindsets. Still, people are having the same patriarchal mindset. Sorry. Yes. People are not shedding their patriarchal mindset. Still, our society is suffering from that. Still, every house, the moment the daughter-in-law gives this news she is pregnant, everybody starts congratulating her. May she will give a birth to a Baba boy. So the desire for Baba boy itself reflects a kind of patriarchy prevalent in our society, right? All this that what you are seeing, honor killing, your domestic violence on rise, why? It is due to the presence of patriarchal mindsets. Then the next point that I want to emphasize upon is police failure. The indifferent attitude of police leads people to take law in their own hands because police delays and inability to catch the criminals leads to more crime against women. That therefore there is a need to change the state police attitude towards the uh, crime against women. They need to be more gender sensitive. They need to understand the needs of the women during that particular period of time. Therefore, there is a high element that government should look into the police reforms, that police reforms should take place. There should be more gender sensitization in the police force. There should be for example, in some states, there are specialized police stations manned only by police women, where a woman is more comfortable in interacting, in disclosing what she is going through. Apart from this, you have seen the recently one movement took place, that is Me Too movement. Now I'm connecting current affairs. Me Too movement started. Me Too movement. Uh, and Me Too movement has resulted in large number of cases registered in it result it under Me Too movement. Lot of cases are registered in police stations, right? Apart from this, we are also having a sluggish judicial system. India's court system is painfully very slow due to the shortage of judges. The country has about 15 judges for every 1 million people, and this leads to delay in providing justice. Therefore, Indian justice system failed to investigate, prosecute, and punish the perpetrators and failed to provide effective redressal for victims. Right? Apart from this, there are certain traditional cultural practices which are prevalent in Indian society and which is against the women's. Write it down. I have discussed all these points. You are writing down or not? Now there are certain traditional and cultural practices. Traditional and cultural practices. Number one, genital mutilation. Genital It was in the news, genital mutilation. The genital mutilation of female organs, of female private part. This practice is very rampant. This practice is very rampant in the Muslims of Gujarat, especially the Vora community. In the Muslims of Gujarat, especially Vora Muslims community. Vora Muslim community. Right? This is a very painful practice, and a woman suffer for the rest of her life due to this genital mutilation, in which they used to cut a certain part of their vagina, and it creates a very painful experience for the rest of their life. It is a practice which is, prevalent in certain sections of society in India, and sometimes this practice leads to, can lead to death. Sometimes this practice can lead to death, infertility, infection, and long-term psychological trauma. And long-term psychological trauma. Right? Then there are acid attacks taking place. There are acid attacks. Right? Acid attacks have emerged as a cheap and readily accessible weapon to disfigure and sometimes kill women. Acid attacks are used to disfigure the women or to kill her. And the government, after the intervention of Supreme Court, has now banned the sale of acid at the chemist level. Only on the proper authentication the acid can be sold in a marketplace, right? Now the next is killing in the name of family honor. Killing in the name of family honor. Killing in the name of family. I fail to understand that our entire honor of our Indian society lies in the girls. That too in between the legs, on the genital parts of a girl. That is our honor. I fail to understand this kind of mentality. We are not feeling ashamed that in India we are practicing untouchability. We are not feeling ashamed that in India female infanticide is taking place. We are not feeling ashamed that in India still dowry is a part and parcel of our culture. We are not feeling ashamed that in India still there is 25% population below the poverty line. We are not ashamed that in India still having a 3 meals a day is considered as a big achievement. We are not ashamed of all these things. But yes, when it comes to girls, our entire respect emerges out like a volcanic eruption. Oh my God. Therefore, it is the time that we need to change this mindset. As I have already stated, metamorphosis never happens in society. How society can change? Society will change when individuals will change, because all of you who are listening to my lecture, you all constitute society. I, you. There is a saying, I would like to discuss this with you. I want to share it with you, or rather, that there is a one great philosopher. There, one person asked a question to him, how we can change a society? And he replied, you cannot change a society. He said, what you are saying? Yes, you cannot change a society. Because society is a non-living thing. How can you change a non-living thing? If you want to change society, you need to bring change in the individual. Because when lot of individuals come together, they form a group. When lot of groups come together, they form a society. Therefore, if you want to change a society, you will never bring change. The change will start from the individual level. Therefore, the time has come when we need to realize this mistake. We need to realize that all these evils are present in our society, and now we need to tackle this problem uh, on the front way. And that is the point. If you need to bring changes at individual level, only then there will be a change in the society. Okay. Now let's move on to the killing in the name of family. In several countries, including all this India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, right? Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey, all these countries are, in all these countries, women are upholders. You can say they uphold the honor of family. They uphold the honor of family, right? And if there is a element of adultery, premarital relationship, or if a girl loves a person outside their family or outside their caste, they will kill the woman. Oh, this is not acceptable. You are going against our tradition, right? Now coming to the next part, early marriages are taking place in Indian society. Early marriages, right? Early marriages taking place without the consent of the girl. It also constitute a kind of violence. This we have discussed. Now there is a one more recent initiative, the Government of India, that is Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Where up this? There is one more protection of women from domestic violence, which is called in short Domestic Violence Act 2005, right? Then Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. Then you have Indecent Representation of Women's Prohibition Act, Indecent Representation, Representation of Women Prohibition Act, Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act. It came in 1988, I guess. It came in 1980. Sorry, it came in 1986, right? Then you have Dowry Prohibition Act, Dowry Prohibition Act. It came in 1981, I guess. It came in 1989. Sorry, this is very old. It came in 1961. It came in 1961, right? These are the initiatives taken by the government. Now you have PCPNDT Act. On this mains question also, PCPNDT Act, right? This is also one of the important acts, right? These all are the important acts promulgated by the government to ensure safety, security to women. Done? One more fact you can write down, that according to the annual status of education report, ASER, according to ASER report, you can use this fact anywhere in writing essay or in your answer. According to Annual Status of Education Report, ASER report, the education level of a mother, the education level of a mother have a strong correlation with the holistic development of children. Underline this. I will repeat it again. I'm repeating it again for you. According to Annual Status of Education Report, the education levels of a mother have a strong correlation with the holistic development of children. If you look at the role of women in India's economic growth story, let us understand the role of women in India's economic growth story. Role of women in India's economy. Write it down. If we look at the contribution of women in India's GDP, it is pegged at 18%. Women's contribution in India's GDP is at 18%. And if you look at the agriculture workforce, 48% of the agriculture workforce in India constitutes women. And only 13% of the women own agriculture land in India. And if you look at the manufacturing sector, only 20% women are there in manufacturing sector. And if you look at the service sector, 30% of the women constitutes service sector. And if I talk in terms of startups, because India is considered as the third largest ecosystem related to startups, and 10% of the startups are led by women founders. And according to one survey in 2022, the share of women in the position of Chief Executive Officer or MD level has increased by 55%. So therefore, these are the contributions of women in India's economy. Now let us understand the women organizations. Okay, you see, if you look at the history of women's organization in India, if you look at the history of women organizations in India, may I rub this? Clear? I think all of you are noting down my points also. What happened to this tab, yaar? Yeah. Okay, done. Okay. Now let us understand the history of women organization in India. History of women organization. History of women organizations in India. Right. It is basically divided in three phases. First is the first phase. The first phase is from 1815 to 1915. The first phase is 1850. Just a moment. The first phase is 1850 to 1915. 1850 से 1915, and the second phase is 1915 to 1947, and the third phase constitute 1947 to present times. 1947 to present times, right? Therefore, the history of women organization in India are divided into three phases. First phase is 1850 to 1915, 1950 to 1947, and 1947 to present times, right? Clear? Right. Let us understand the first phase. Let us understand the first phase. The first phase, which is considered as a 19th century social reform movement. 19th century social reform movement. It is basically related to 19th century social reform movement, which is, you can say, it is the first organized all India response. It is considered as the first organized all India response towards the social reform movement in India. Towards the social reform movement, right? Towards the social reform movement. Clear? All India response to the challenges or the social reform movement. But if you look at this period does not bring a radical change. This period does not bring radical change in the structure of society, right? Therefore, if you look at the issues, look at the reformers, so you can say reformers took up the issue of polygamy. What kind of issues like polygamy? Write it down. Issues such as polygamy, parda, widow remarriage, women's education, abolition of sati pratha. These were the issues raised by the social reformers. And who are the reformers? You know, Raja Raman Rai, Ishwarchand Vidyasagar, Jyoti Rao Phule, Jyoti Rao Phule, who fought for the upliftment of women in the early 19th century, right? Done. For example, M.G. Ranade founded the Widow Remarriage Association and the Deccan Education Society, right? And there is a one more lady called Kendukuri Veer Selingam, Kendukuri Veer Selingam in Madras, who founded the Widow Remarriage Association in 1891. And recently, the personality which was in the news on her character, a movie was based also. The person, the lady was Pandita Ramabai, right? Pandita Ramabai also helped the cause of women upliftment. Pandita Ramabai is considered as the first Indian feminist to address other women directly about emancipation, right? And she founded the Arya Mahila Sabha. She also founded Arya Mahila Sabha, done, which is known as the first feminist organization in India. You can write it down. Arya Mahila Sabha, which is known as the first feminist organization in India. She set up Mukti Mission for young widows and Krupa Sadan and Sharda Sadan 1889 for destitute women. I think we'll stop our lecture today at this point, and then in tomorrow class we will finish this. This is the last phase. We'll finish women issues, then we move to the next one. Okay? And I hope students you have enjoyed the lecture with me. Students, are you enjoying the classes with me? And I hope you are enjoying. I'm not making the uh, making bore out of you here, right? So today, I think this much is enough. Then tomorrow we will continue our study, and tomorrow we will discuss about the women's organization, and then we'll move to the next topic. Thank you very much for being with me. Thanks a lot.